Tonight we're going to talk about the cockroach. Do you remember the Madagascar hissing cockroaches we had in Pensacola? Ginormous. Do you remember Joey eating one?
Oh, Joe, yes.
Yes. He was going to be a missionary to New Guinea. He and his wife going to be a missionary, worked at our ministry there. And he had these big, huge hissing cockroaches. I'll show you in a picture in a minute. And one of the kids said, I heard you're going to be a missionary. He said, yeah. Well, I heard they eat those over there. He said, yeah, they do. Put it in his mouth, crunch, crunch, shoot it. I about puked. Anyway, cockroach. Question for you evolutionists and atheists. How could a cockroach evolve slowly by chance, and from what did it evolve? You guys are not answering any of my questions. You're diverting entirely every time. How many trillions of intermediate steps would there have to be to go from an amoeba to a cockroach? Is there any scientific evidence for these changes? I mean any scientific evidence, not SpongeBob imagination. Wow, could have happened. Today he said several times during the debate, well, given enough time, boy, if we had millions of years, yeah, time is the whole secret. First place, I think we can demonstrate the Earth cannot be billions of years old, scientifically. But even with time, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. Is it more logical to believe it was all created by a really smart creator? The Bible says, giving thanks unto the Father, which hath made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance. The meet is the Old English word suitable. The Father made us suitable to inherit the kingdom. Can you imagine we get to inherit heaven? Not just go live there, it's going to be ours. We inherit it. Inheritance of the saints in light, who hath delivered us from the power of darkness and translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son, in whom, that would be Jesus, we have redemption. The word redeem means to buy something back. You redeem it through his blood. Even the forgiveness of sins, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. For by him, by who? By Jesus, the image, were all things created. Now hold it. I thought God created everything. Genesis 1:1, he did. Jesus created everything. Colossians 3, yep, he did. Because Jesus is God Almighty in the flesh. Simple. By him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible. Whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created by him and for him. Interesting. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist or hold together. Ephesians chapter 3. And to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the world hath been hid in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ. This is a mystery. I wish I understood it. I don't. I'd like to. I can show you the Bible clearly teaches the doctrine that we call the Trinity. I don't have to understand it. I'm trying. But I don't have to understand gravity to use it. I don't have to understand light to use it. You know, you can not understand how a car works and still get in and learn to drive it. You don't have to understand about internal combustion engines and fuel intake and valves and pistons and rods. You don't have to understand nothing. Hit the key and it goes. You can still drive it, right? All things were created by Jesus Christ. Revelation 4. Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things. Even the cockroach. He made it all. God said in Genesis chapter 1, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. I would contend that the Bible clearly teaches all animals bring forth after their kind. And I would be willing to predict cockroaches came from cockroaches, and when they have babies, they will turn out to be cockroaches. No exceptions in the history of the world. None. God said it back in the first chapter. And some of you still don't get it. You think cockroaches and whales are related. You really do. Okay, we'll talk about that tonight. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that would be the cockroaches. And God saw that it was good. There are Madagascar hissing cockroaches. When Joey ate that one, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying so far I've never been that hungry. Cockroaches. So with the Turkestan roaches and the Japanese roaches now calling North America home, how many cockroaches do we now have to worry about? Actually, there are 4,500 species of cockroaches in the world. but just 30 are considered pests. Oh, okay. This is from Smithsonian Magazine. Cockroaches. Very interesting. How many have ever seen a cockroach? We have several around here. All right. Cockroaches can live about a year. They can live a month without food and 2 weeks without water. It's been reported that they can live a week without their head. Now, some people say this is not true, this is mythology. I don't know if it's true, and that doesn't matter. I know some people who seem to survive fine without using their head. I've met several of those, okay? Famous redneck last words. Hey, y'all, watch this, right? So, cockroach. Yes, you can eat cockroaches. Contrary to popular belief, cockroaches can actually be very clean and tasty insects, especially if they are fed on fresh fruits and vegetables. They can be eaten toasted, fried, sautéed, or boiled. Madagascar hissing cockroaches have a taste and texture like greasy chicken. There you go. Dinner's ready.
And why are you sharing?
In some parts of the world, this is a delicacy. They sell them by the pound. You go to the grocery store and buy a pound of fried cockroaches. I'm serious. Some females only mate once and stay pregnant for life. They lay 50 to 100 eggs at a time and can do it 4 times in a year. Then they die, 1 year old. So one female can produce a whole bunch of babies. The cockroach eyeball is mind-boggling. Their eyes, they're looking through all sorts of lenses. Although they look nothing like ours, roaches do have eyes. Although many parts of a roach's anatomy are fairly primitive, I would disagree with that. Their eyes are quite advanced, giving them almost 360-degree vision of the world around them. They can see nearly all directions at the same time. Though their eyes possess many remarkable features, they do have some limitations on sight. How many eyes does a cockroach have? Cockroaches have compound eyes which allow them to see simultaneously in almost all directions around its body. Each cockroach eye is made up of 2,000 individual lenses. So he's getting 4,000 pictures of his world around him. His brain has to interpret all those pictures, think about them for a minute, and decide what to do. Oh, here comes the shoe. He's going to step on me. Move. How big is the cockroach brain? I mean, think about it. How does his brain get all that information and think about what to do and react like that? Try to step on one sometime. They're fast. The cockroach eye is mind-boggling. Everything about the cockroach, you want to get into study, it will just blow your mind. They have an exoskeleton. Their skeleton is on the outside of their body. Think about the problems that causes when you grow. Hello? They will grow inside their skeleton until they finally are getting ready to split it open. Then they grow a new shell, an exoskeleton, split the old one open, crawl out of the old one. It's called molting. They'll do it 4, 5, 6 times. How did that process of molting develop? Keep in mind the cockroach changes from an egg to a little larva, which is like a worm. Then it goes from the worm to an insect stage, which can fly. Who teaches it to fly? Nick, how long did you study to learn to fly an airplane? A lot. There's a lot to learn to fly an airplane. Who teaches the baby roaches how to fly? I think if you're just willing to be honest and look at just a cockroach and say, wow, this thing is really pretty amazing. So, the exoskeleton is mind-boggling. It has to grow new legs inside of the skeleton and then split the leg open, slide out, and have new legs that are bigger than they were before. How? And you guys want me to believe all this happened by chance for no reason. Isn't that what evolution says? There's no purpose to life. You might as well have fun. If it feels good, do it. That's the bottom line. See, there's basically only 2 philosophies. God created the world, or the world created itself. Nobody's thought of a third option. Somebody made it, or nobody made it. And there's only two options. If there's a God, there might be some rules. Like, you know, thou shalt not. They don't want those rules. So they will deny the obvious and believe a cockroach happened by chance from an explosion when nothing exploded. You think the cockroach's eye is a result of random shuffling of molecules with no brain behind it. That's really what you guys think, you evolutionists. At least you're trying to make yourself believe that you think that. But when you get alone and you don't have anybody to impress and no students to brag about evolution in front of, when you get alone at night, you know full well you're lying to those kids, and there is a God. And you're going to stand before him one day, and you know it. How could a cockroach have evolved slowly by chance? And from what? Where are the millions of intermediate steps? I don't mean the stories, the imagination. Well, just think about imagine. No, no. Where is the hard evidence of what a cockroach evolved from? And don't tell me it's found in a fossil, because no fossils count as evidence for evolution. None. When you find a fossil, really all you could prove is it died. You could not prove it had any kids. You could not prove it had kids that were different than itself. Could you? You couldn't prove it had any kids that survived. You can't find the bones of anything and say this one had kids that were different than itself. Think about that for 2 minutes, 20 minutes. Is there any scientific evidence for how these supposed imaginary changes? Is it more logical to believe it was created by a really smart creator? I'm going to cover the same stuff I covered last night, because hopefully some of you commenters on the channel that believe in evolution, maybe you'll get it. Okay? I'm trying to get your attention. It said 2 guys walked into a bar. The third one ducked. Think about it. Okay. Maybe we can get somebody's attention tonight. The textbook says 18 or 20 billion years ago, all the matter in the universe, that's a lot of stuff, was concentrated into one very dense, very hot region that may have been much smaller than a period on this page. For some unknown reason, this region exploded. Region of what? The region of all the matter in the universe. You realize that little dot had to contain not only all the matter, but all the energy. What is the total sum of all the temperature of all the stars in the sky? That had to be in that dot, didn't it? How much energy does it take to keep planets like the Earth spinning, you know, 1,038 miles an hour at the equator, and the thing weighs like 6 sextillion tons, or whatever the number is? Just to get a ball that size spinning, and it is a ball and it does spin. Look at them, all the planets are spinning, except the moon is gravitationally locked, but it spins also. What would it take to get those things? The sun spins once every 28 days. It's 108,000 miles in diameter. How much energy is required to keep something that big spinning? All that energy and all that temperature and all that mass had to be in this dot. And you guys claim you like science, and you publish it in science books for kids to learn. Discover magazine puts this garbage out there. Where did everything come from? The universe burst into something from absolutely nothing. Zero, nada. As it got bigger, it became filled with even more stuff that came from absolutely nowhere. How's that possible? Ask Alan Guth. Well, I'm sure Alan Guth has a bunch of degrees behind his name, but look, if you went to college for years and got a whole bunch, so many degrees they call you Dr. Fahrenheit, and you still believe everything came from nothing, I have a hard time believing you got a brain in that head. He said, the observable universe could have evolved from an infinitesimal region. In the Hebrew, that's a dot. He said, it's then tempting to go one step further and speculate that the entire universe evolved from literally nothing. They're publishing this in Scientific American. You guys who believe in evolution are always saying, why don't you Christians publish in science journals? If a science journal is dumb enough to publish something that says everything came from nothing for no reason, I'm not too impressed. I'm not sure I want to be associated with that kind of stupidity. You have to go to college for years to be that dumb. Let me get this straight. You believe the cockroach came from a dot of nothing that exploded 13.7 billion years ago, or whatever number they're using tomorrow. And then it formed itself by chance over millions of years with no designer. That compound eye with 2,000 lenses in it happened by chance. And you think that is science, and you think you are smart. They really do. Read the comments. And you want to teach that silly stuff to children. You talk about child abuse. Teaching evolution is child abuse. And you want me to help pay your salary while you teach it. And you want me to be happy about it and to not argue about it. Let me think about that. No, I'm not happy about it, and I'm going to argue about it until I die. And then the videos are going to keep going after I die, and the YouTube is going to keep going. And Nick, we're archiving everything in case they shut down YouTube. We'll open up a, what's after you? A V-tube, or G-tube, or H-tube, or some kind. We'll open up a tube someplace, and we'll put it up there, right? Bible says, he that walketh with wise men shall be wise. Companion of fools shall be destroyed. And so these evolutionists, they hang around each other to encourage each other in their faith. Yeah, Hovind's stupid. He believes there's a creator. And then somebody else will comment, yeah, we know Hovind's stupid. We know there's no creator. And the 4 or 5 of them under 10 different names, so it looks like there's 40 of them, you know. They're commenting back and forth. They're encouraging each other in their faith. It's a faith. It's a religious belief. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. They changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and birds and 4-footed beasts and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up. If you believe in evolution, I would have to worry that maybe God has given up on you. You just decided you don't want to believe. Okay. How many saw that Far Side cartoon where their cars go up around this hill and there's a cliff and they're falling over the cliff? And at the bottom there's a sign that says, look out ahead. Look out ahead. Look out. And look out. Look out. They keep driving over the cliff. You know, look out. Look out ahead. Okay. God gave them up. What do you do? They changed the truth of God into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. Psalm 139. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. A cockroach is more complicated than New York City. With all the electrical systems, you realize the nerve system of a cockroach, all the wires going there, every cell is connected to that itty-bitty tiny brain. He can run like lightning or jump off and fly, reproduce, lay eggs, find food, eat it. What all does a cockroach do in a body this big? Same things we do. Eat, sleep, move, all those things. And his brain is like that big. A cockroach, a single cell in a cockroach is more complicated than a whole city. Garbage collection system, circulatory system, respiratory system through spiracles. Where does he go when he gets sick? They have hospitals? No, they got to heal themselves. And they can sense out and pick out which food they need, which is good for them. Oh, I need more of this vitamin. They don't know a thing about vitamins. They just know my body needs that. Go eat it. They don't know. They don't care. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. The 24 elders fall down before him that sat on the throne and worship him that liveth forever and ever, and cast their crowns before the throne, saying, Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things. What on earth is so hard about admitting God created things? What is so hard about that? You know what it is? If somebody's walking across the parking lot and they found a Swiss Army knife laying on the parking lot, they've got 2 choices. Try to find the owner and return it, because it belongs to somebody, right? Or they could probably say, you know, I really would like to keep that. I've got to figure out a way to justify how it could have made itself. Maybe the sun was shining on the parking lot and it kind of oozed up out of the parking lot, and this thing, it doesn't belong to anybody. I can keep it. That's exactly what you evolutionists are doing. Exactly. You're looking at complicated things like life and saying, nobody made it, so I get to keep it. You're stupid. Wake up. We're here to help. Okay? If I could slap you, I would, because that's what you need, is a good slap in the head. Wake up. Come on down, visit Dinosaur Adventureland. Well, we can smack you, okay? Think about what you're believing. It's written, as I live, saith the Lord. Rich, you can slap him after me, okay? Every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess to God that every one of us shall give an account of himself to God. We would do you a favor if we could slap you and wake you up out of your stupor. We'd be the biggest favor ever happened to you. Wow, that is stupid, I believe, isn't it? Yeah, duh. Come join us. We won't slap you.